Beefheart used words like paint. What he wrote didn't always make literal sense, but thrown together in his playful manner, his phrases were interpreted as though they were Zen revelations. More than a conjurer of cute epithets, Beefheart was a verbal prankster.
Jeff's role was to read the poetry. Our role was kind of to be excited about hearing it, you know, hearing it dozens of times sometimes, you know. Pina, her little head clinking like a barrel of red velvet balls, streets filled her eyes, just on, you know, like, I can't hear this again.
Pina, her little head clinking like a barrel of red velvet balls, full pass noise, treats filled her eyes, turning them yellow like enamel-coated tacks, soft like butter, hard not to pour, out enjoying the sun while sitting on a turned-on waffle iron. Smoke billowing up from between her legs made me vomit beautifully and crush a chandelier, fall on my stomach and view her from 1,000 different facets.
You couldn't explain from a technical standpoint anything to Don. You couldn't tell him why things ought to be such and such a way. And it seemed to me that if he was going to create a unique object, that the easiest thing for me to do was keep my mouth shut as much as possible and just let him do whatever he wanted to do, whether I thought it was wrong or not. Like covering the cymbals and the drums with cardboard, and overdubbing his vocals with no earphones, hearing only vague leakage through the studio window, rendering him only slightly in sync with the actual track that he's singing on. That's the way he wanted it.
Well, that goes to show you what a moon can do.
I remember when they recorded the record, Frank had time booked in Whitney studio, and in 4.5 hours, the record was done. And Frank couldn't believe it. What do you mean, done? Don said, the record's done, Frank. And it was. I mean, they basically went in there and they used that studio and did a live album. They had it so together, that much rehearsing, and it was, I think, the best album they ever did. Not the best. All the albums that Beefheart makes are the best. I love the man. I think Frank's good, but Beefheart's the real thing. If you want to get avant-garde, man, you're not going to find anybody that's going to get more avant-garde than Captain Beefheart.
I think that if he had been produced by any professional, famous producer, that there could have been a number of suicides involved.
I think we all kind of sensed that there was something going on here that had never been done before and was artistically sound. We knew that there was a market, there were people out there who were listening to things that weren't conventional. And I was excited about the fact that we were doing something that wasn't conventional. Even though sometimes I really wanted to be somewhere else, that's sort of what motivated me to stay.
I remember that I finished editing the album, it was on an Easter Sunday. And I called him up, I said, the album's done, and he made all the guys in the band get dressed up, and they came over here early in the morning and sat in this room and listened to it and loved it.
It was a double record set, it cost $7, it was too much, but Frank Zappa's name was on it, so I bought it. I took it home, I put it on. It was the worst dreck I'd ever heard in my life. I said, they're not even trying.
Now here she come walking, looking like a zoo. Hi, Ella Guru.
They're just playing randomly. And then I thought, but Frank Zappa produced it. Maybe I better get over another play. So I played it again, and I thought, it sounds horrible, but they mean it to sound this way.
She do what she mean and she do what she do. Got something for me, got something for you. She shows something.
And about the third or fourth time, it started to grow on me. And the fifth or sixth time, I loved it. And the seventh or eighth time, I thought it was the greatest album ever made, and I still do. It's the culmination of, for me, the entire history of the blues, rock and roll, experimental music, and free jazz, combined with extremely talented musicians playing it. and one of the most incredible voices in musical history, Captain Beefheart. I mean, he's a modern howlin' wolf.
Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Don't give me no affliction. That old-time religion is good enough for me. Ah, it's good enough for you.
Don followed this with a guest spot on Zappa's album Hot Rats, an album completely devoid of the musical turbulence paramount in his own work.
Standing on the porch of the Lido Hotel, bluesy in the lobby, love the way I sell. Hot beat, hot rats, hot cats, hot dicks.
By now, Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band had a strong underground reputation. For their next project, they made a TV commercial, although commercial is perhaps not the best way to describe it.
Wow, is a meatball. Oh, drop a reap.
In plain view, it's Captain Beefheart.
He made this weird black and white Dada video. And he got a local TV announcer to, you know, come and read the... It was very funny.
New on Reprieves, it's Lick My Decals Off, Baby.
And they showed it a couple times on late night TV like local stations and got hate mail, got hate calls right away. Take that off. We hate that. See, people just couldn't take it. Now you would think nothing of it. You would assume it was a commercial for toothpaste. But in those days, nobody knew. And people were scared. You know, the guy had a vibe out there. You either loved it or hated it.
Captain, don't you want to make money?
Sure.
Then why don't you go commercial?
I think either I'm too smart or too dumb. I don't know which.
He decided at that point that the music was too far out. And this was a few years after he decided the music wasn't far enough out. So he wanted to go back to a simpler sound. And that was when we moved to Santa Cruz, California, and did an album called The Spotlight Kid. Started rehearsing for that.
There's my baby waving her handkerchief down. Ah, yeah, stand up when I hear that sound. This time it sounds like it's for kids. I get down on my knees with a gravel all around. Pray to the Lord.
After these extreme musical quests, the band settled down to become an extraordinary live act, performing their jagged and argumentative music. Where most bands were following the beat, the Magic Band hurtled all about it, while the captain pointed at the crowd and growled, whooped and yelled.
Ah, yeah! All the time crying. Maybe you had a girl like this. She always wanted to go down to New Orleans.
We were in a setting where we had no money again and no food. We were getting welfare or food or surplus food or something. We'd have to go down and sign this paperwork and stand in these long lines and get cans of beans and a big thing of cheese and some Spam. This is what we had to eat for a month.